You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
It's February 1st, and I woke up to Tom Brady retiring. Now, it's not odd for a 45-year-old quarterback to be calling it quits. Well, okay, there aren't that many 45-year-old quarterbacks, but it's not that odd for a quarterback to be calling it quits and after a long season. But the fact is, he did this last year on February 1st and then unretired. And all I could think about through the entire thing was, why didn't you wait a day? Why didn't you do it on Groundhog's Day? Well, stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. It is February 1st, and Tom Brady has retired again. We're going to talk about two shows today. We're going to talk about the latest 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina, and we're going to talk about the new Rian Johnson series, Poker Face. But there was one bit of news that I thought was pretty interesting, especially after all the news about DC yesterday. It seems that they're already talking to a potential director for the Swamp Thing movie. This is somebody who is a huge fan of the Swamp Thing. It's somebody who has done comic book movies before, or superhero movies before. And it's somebody who has been chasing this particular property for a while. But it's not necessarily somebody you think of for horror movies. If anything, you think of him for other kind of movies. You think about him for getting older action heroes. Because who we're talking about is James Mangold, who did Logan and is directing the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or the Colostomy Bag of Doom, or whatever the name of the movie is. So I find it interesting because Mangold is a great director, and I think he's a great grab. And supposedly the studios are talking to him about it. It's popping up on a couple different major sites like Deadline. So there's some legitimacy to it. And I looked out on James Gunn's website, Twitter, where he debunks anything that comes out, and there's no debunking. And then I looked over James Mangold's Twitter account, and he posted a picture of Swamp Thing by Bernie Wrightson. So I think this is great. I think Mangold would be an amazing director for it. I thought for sure they would go with James Wan or something like Guillermo del Toro, who's known for doing horror movies. Wan, because not only does he do horror, but he's working with Peter Safran on a bunch of stuff, and he's already in the DC universe, so. And his movie made just a wee bit of money. But, yeah, see, John, I wanted James Wan to direct Swamp Thing. But, yeah, they're talking about James Mangold, which I think is a great grab, but it's a little out of left field. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised by that one. And then in other news, I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm going to read it for you. They were talking to Paul Rudd with them having the Ant-Man movie coming up, the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And he was talking about how, getting into Marvel and how it worked. And he said, my agent has set up a meeting with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Marvel was pretty new. They weren't even part of Disney. It would have been like somebody saying, hey, how would you feel about doing Dancing with the Stars? A superhero franchise was never on my radar. I never really thought I was the type of actor that they would offer any of those parts to. But when this idea came around, I was excited about doing something that was so out of left field. And I knew that if it was announced that I was going to be joining a superhero franchise, most people would say, "What the f?" And I got to wear a superhero suit. You have to appreciate any actor who part of his decision-making process is how much it's going to make people go, WTF? What? So, yeah, love that. All right, so who we got in the chat today? Well, I see Thomas, I see John, I see Triple B. Good to see you guys. Glad you're all here. We got JD on the board, and joining me in the conversation about Poker Face and Legend of Vox Machina is Kyle. Hello, sir.
Hi.
How you doing?
I have just been invited to watch That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the movie, this evening after I leave the office.
I'm sorry. What?
It's an anime.
Uh-huh.
That started off as a manga called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
Oh, wait, this was recently in theaters.
Yes, it's still in theaters.
But is there a pre-title? It's a Crunchyroll movie, right?
Yes, it's a Crunchyroll movie. No, okay. It's That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the movie, something else. The Scarlet something. I don't know, but a friend of mine has rented out a movie theater for their birthday and is like, I have tickets. Would you like to come? And I'm going, is it hentai? And they go, no. And
you're not allowed. No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to go to hentai.
I go, are you sure? Because it seems like it is. And he goes, I'm positive. So I think I'm going to go watch an anime tonight.
But by the way, the phrase, that time I got turned into a slime.
Got reincarnated as a
slime, doesn't help the title at all.
Correct. John, my D&D night was great. It's always fun when you have a character that you don't care if they live or die, because you can make choices you wouldn't make in a long-term campaign. And that's something I think we're going to wind up talking about with Vox Machina today, because this three episode arc wound up having a number of characters that are they're in one episode, or they've shown up in the past, but they're one and dones. And it's really interesting that you play characters like that differently. You take risks, you make character choices that you wouldn't otherwise make. And so I wound up essentially at the end of the game, my character was mortally wounded in battle because I chose to start a brawl without any of my weapons present. And our spellcaster wound up turning me essentially into, like, the best way I can describe it now is like an angel, but the way the Bible describes an angel, so kind of gross and disgusting looking. But I could fly and spit fire, and it was pretty great. And then at the end, when the spell wore off, I was dead. So it worked out.
All right.
I didn't drag out the death scene like Deadpool, JD, because ironically, my character couldn't speak. They gave me a character who was effectively mute, which, again, because I so often play bards and things that are very verbose characters, was something different and unique for me. So it was kind of fun.
Cool. By the way, hello, Ed. Good to see you.
Also, this D&D campaign is why I'm throwing my head into the ring to play the Frankenstein's monster in James Gunn's Creature Commandos, because I played the whole game going, so.
Where fashion sits.
Right. If I could have sang Putting on the Ritz, I would have. No German accent, John.
Too funny. All right. Let's jump into the first of the two. Yes.
I have to answer to this comment. JD and I once played in a Star Wars campaign where I played a character whose name was Chewy Nachos, essentially, because no one could pronounce the actual name I gave my Wookiee, so they would just call him Chewy, which I wasn't necessarily a fan of. But every time we went into a tavern, he ordered a plate of nachos with raw meat on them, and so they called him Chewy Nachos.
Okay. Speaking of which, so when are we doing a live D&D session with JD as our GM, our DM?
We are currently working on onboarding 3 shows on the experience. When I get through those, we're going to start planning our live action game, hopefully with some friends that we've gotten to work with before. But we'll see what happens. If not, I have it's called Clockwork Dominion, which is a indie RPG that JD and I were both playtesters on, that I think will let us license their content. So working on it. We can't just go into a live action roleplay we can't go into a live role playing game without licensing the content from the company. I'm not sure Wizards of the Coast would care, but I don't want them to care. And then we do one episode and everybody's invested and we have to take it off the air. So I want to make sure we've got our ducks in a row before we do it, but I'm working on it. It's on my list. It's number 2 on my list behind our book club show, but it's number 1 in my heart.
Okay.
Ed, maybe that's something we could do like as a member services kind of plan. But again, that's something that's going to take some time to work out. So.
Yeah. I've actually played a game of D&D on StreamYard, using StreamYard as the communication tool. Works pretty well for that.
Yeah, I've played on Roll20. I've played on StreamYard. We can work. The technical details are not the hard part to work out.
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the first of the 2 shows we want to talk about. Let's talk about Poker Face.
Poker Face, my poker face.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. This is, if you're not familiar with this show, it is a new series on Peacock, which may be the worst named streaming channel out there.
I disagree.
Oh, what's worse?
I think anything where you just put plus after the name of your existing brand is worse, only because it's lazy. At least Peacock is creative.
Yeah, but when you say MGM Plus, Apple Plus, you have an idea who at least it is. When you hear just, I'm watching it on Peacock.
The amount of Peacock that is the WWE network means that it needs its own name, because it's clearly not just like, what are they going to call it? NBC Universal Plus?
Sure.
That's a terrible name.
It is, but at least you know what it is. They don't even use the Peacock logo much anymore.
They do on my TV. But I also have one of those streaming cable services that sometimes you don't have commercials to play. Like, when they come out of a commercial and they don't have a local. So you just get to see the Peacock logo go over and over and over again. It goes doom, 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 doom. So I see it a ton.
Yeah. Mind you, Freevee and Tubi and Roku aren't necessarily much better.
Correct.
But at least they're not anything specific. It's not like they're a real word. When you look at Peacock, you're like, you're watching a bird?
I just signed up for Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give Tubi a shout out because they have a bunch of 1970s movie musicals just for free with commercials. So like we watched 1776 the other day. They have The Iceman Cometh. They have all of these great movie musicals just with commercials, and it's so hard to find them other places. So shout out to Tubi.
I have 1776 on Blu-ray, the director's cut that I watch every year.
I had to point out to my friend that I was watching it with that, you know, Mr. Feeney was the vice president at John Adams, or was the principal at John Adams Middle School, and played John Adams in 1776. And there's a reason that both of those things are true.
And he was the voice of Kit.
Well, he's also going to be at Motor City Comic Con, so I'm going to go meet him.
Nice. Okay, if you're going to go meet him, you got to get him to sign something for me, but it's got to be something from 1776.
I'll just take a couple copies of the Blu-ray. We got it.
All right. That would mean a lot to me. So
yeah,
we are way off topic.
Yeah, we are.
So, Peacock.
Peacock.
This is a new series starring Natasha Lyonne and from director Ryan Johnson, who, of course, did Knives Out and Glass Onion. Now, I will say going into it, knowing that this was going to be a mystery thing where Natasha Lyonne plays somebody who just knows when somebody's lying, which reminds me a lot of Ana de Armas's character from Knives Out. But, you know, her thing was she can't lie. But her having that ability, I thought, okay, this is going to be something this is going to be funny. This is going to be the same humor we get in Knives Out. It's not that funny. It's much more serious than I expected. It's also much more 70s than I expected. I described it to somebody as Rockford Files meets The Fugitive. And you get that 70s feeling immediately as the show begins. And you're looking at the carpet from the casino, which most casinos that aren't on the main strip, and I don't think this one was, haven't changed that much since 1970. And you get the yellow letters logo. There's not even a real logo. It's just poker face, Natasha Lyonne, like the old 70s style credits and stuff. So and if it wasn't for the fact that people have cell phones, I would have thought maybe they were trying to do a 70s series, because even her car looks old. You know, we really don't see anything that really makes it go, oh, this is modern, other than cell phones. So what was your initial impression when you first started watching it, man?
You know how I love that show Las Vegas?
Yes.
It kind of reminded me of that if the whole thing were dripping with like 1980s sort of, or more specifically, what directors like Quentin Tarantino think the 1980s looked like in Vegas. Like, you know, seeing Adrian Brody with like an index finger ring that's a horseshoe that's clearly a reference to Binion's, like these old, you know, old school strip hotels. And the fact that it's not set in that time is a little bit of a, I have to shake the cobwebs out of my brain a little bit. I will say this. It starts off at like 100 miles an hour, and then it slows way down. And then it ends at 100 miles an hour. Or at least the first episode does. And it's one of those, like, you get to the middle and you're like, okay, get to the point. So when I first started watching it, the first things that I had to wrap my brain around is I'm not a fan of Benjamin Bratt with a beard. I can't take him seriously. He looks like a kid who grew a beard so he could buy beer underage. Like, because he has such a, you know, baby face. Like, that's just, and I know that's not how he is, but It's just what it looks like to me. And Adrian Brody, you know, his nose goes 6 different directions and it drives me nuts. Because it wasn't like that in Angels in the Outfield. But the second Natasha Lyonne opens her mouth, I'm sucked in. Because her voice telling this story and being the driving force behind the story takes me past all of the little things that only exist in my head and thoroughly immerse me in this series.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, the main 3 actors in this episode are Benjamin Bratt, Adrian Brody, and Natasha Lyonne, and 2 of them are going forward. They're part of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it to be the type of series it's going to be, that it's basically a fugitive type thing. But there were so many things that made me it feel like a 70s show to me. In the fact that she was living in a dumpy little trailer in the middle of the desert reminded me of Rockford and his trailer near the beach. The car choice, just this little beater, stuff like that. By the way, hello, Kenneth. It was just a lot of things that made it feel like they wanted to have that feel, that it wants to be a 70s style TV show without necessarily being in the 70s. And it's kind of the same way that shows like Gotham or even the Batman movies, they never really tell you when they're set. And they have things that are very old and things that are modern, and they just kind of blend them together. And we're supposed to go, oh, yeah. So they're not really caring to make it set. They don't tell you when it takes place. But it's pretty interesting. And I thought the MacGuffin was fascinating.
It's true.
The
MacGuffin was fascinating.
The fact that we don't really see what it is that's got everybody worked up for the longest time.
Well, and you never actually see it. Like, you see bits of it.
Yeah. Wait a minute. At this point, I'm not even sure what it is. What was it?
I think I know what it is, but this is my big problem with the whole show, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the mystery is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's my big complaint. I thought, okay, great. This whole show is going to be the mystery of explaining what happened in the first scene we see. Right? Or not really the first scene, but in that first 15 minutes. And then at the end of the first episode, it's solved. And I'm like, so now what is our mystery? I don't know. And so if the mystery is solving that, what was in the photo that caused all of this, then by all means, okay, that's a fair enough mystery. I think it was an image of a person who is under a certain age doing a certain thing that shouldn't be on someone's computer. I don't want to say those words all strung together in a sentence in case the monitors on YouTube and Facebook would be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because there's this runner in it where Natasha Lyonne's character is talking about that. Right. And it's this kind of thing that's something that the incredibly rich who own hotel casinos would try and cover up for one of their whales and just this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it feels to me like maybe it's that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something. Maybe it's something else. I don't know, but not knowing what the mystery is going to be the biggest downfall of this show for me. Because unlike Knives Out or Glass Onion, where you kind of know what the mystery is before you meet the detective, we have a lot of detective and not a lot of mystery.
Right. But I don't think it's going to be that kind of show. See, I think it's going to be more of a fugitive or Incredible Hulk thing where they're on the move constantly and helping somebody at each location. Now, I forgot that I didn't know what was in the picture that the woman took, which actually goes to show the rest of the show was interesting enough that I didn't care. you know, she figured out what happened, and then what happens to the. Okay, gonna need a spoiler banner.
Yeah, I don't think we can talk about this without the spoiler banner.
Okay, in one of the most bizarre moments in television, somebody gets caught doing something and isn't necessarily turned into the authorities, but a different kind of authority, and they decide to take a unique way out.
It's not such a unique way out. I mean, that's an old storytelling trope, right? Like, this person has discovered this bad thing happening under your nose. Well, kill the person who discovered the bad thing happening, and the bad thing's not your problem anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that unique, like, to the point where when he sends her out of the room, I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill her. Got it. Done. Makes sense.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the way Brody leaves.
Well, yeah, that was a little bit unique. That was a little bit tough to watch. I'll be honest. I'm not saying shows should carry a trigger warning, but it explains why his nose goes the direction it goes.
Jesus. What, they have to take the scene twice?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, the show they dropped 4 episodes, and it made me wonder why, and then I remembered, because they did this when they also did The Lost Symbol. So the reason they dropped 4 episodes is because up until like today, I think they just announced, they had a free level on Peacock. You could go in, and certain shows like The Lost Symbol and probably this one, you could watch 3 episodes free. And then the 4th episode is the one that gets you to come in and watch. So they drop all 4 episodes, and you're watching 3 of them, and you get to the 4th one, you're like, oh, I gotta pay now? So, but they're just eliminated that today. So now you do have to pay, but...
Oh, so there's no... Did they eliminate the free tier on Peacock, or did they eliminate this show from the free tier on Peacock?
They eliminated the free tier on Peacock. That was a news story on Deadline today.
I think that's a bad mistake for Peacock, but okay, go ahead.
That's the second one after picking the name.
Well, the thing about Peacock that was always at least remotely user-friendly was that you could watch it for free, but like certain shows weren't free. Like you could watch season 1 of The Office, but you couldn't go past that. You could watch certain episodes of Parks and Recreation, but you couldn't go past that. So you could get your tastes of your shows, and then you had to pay.
Right. But mind you, their subscription service is $4.99. It's free if you have Comcast or Cox for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, it's no longer free.
They keep rolling it over. I've had Apple TV Plus free for 3 years because T-Mobile's like, we'll give it to you for a year. Great.
I had it free for another year. I had Peacock free for a year from Spectrum.
Yeah.
And I just had to pay my first thing on it. So
see, and I'm one of those guys that for that I pay full price for Peacock because I can never be that far from The Office.
I don't think I've watched an entire episode of The Office.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's okay. We should take a break.
Yeah, we should. But should we wrap up Poker Face so we can spend the second half an hour talking about Vox Machina? I will say this. I don't like not knowing what the mystery is. It makes me less interested in the show. I'm very interested to see where it goes, only because I think Natasha Lyonne is one of the greatest actors currently working. Her voice, especially in this genre, she is built for this. Her voice is perfect. Her style is perfect. The fact that her hair gets progressively more like a lion's mane as the episode goes on is just an impressive feat of prosthetic makeup, I think. But like, it's a really solid first episode. And as much as I dislike Ryan Johnson, because he spells his name wrong and a bunch of other stuff.
So weird.
I'm in for Ryan Johnson based television. I don't know that I will be a fan of the movies.
You didn't like Knives Out or Glass Onion?
Not really.
Wow. I really liked this series or the premiere. I haven't watched the rest of it yet. We're going to do more of it, but I didn't necessarily think the what was on the computer she took a picture of mattered, because the story is, she solved the mystery of who killed the girl. And now we're going to have her on the run and have her deal with new mysteries each week.
Well, and if that's what it is, if it's a freak of the week mystery thing, then that can be okay too with this thing hanging over her head.
Yeah.
But I really do think that at the end of the day, it's all going to tie back together.
Yeah. But I mean, she sent that out to all the news sites and Oprah and the cops and the feds.
No, she sent it to the cop, and then she sent it to CIA at CIA.gov, FBI at FBI.gov.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure that's going to get you where you want it to go to.
And Oprah.
And Oprah.
Sent it
But
to
Oprah at Oprah.com. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not Oprah's email.
I bet if you sent something to Oprah at Oprah.com, somebody involved with Oprah would see it.
All right, we're going to test this theory.
Okay, you do that. We're going to take a quick break, and we will come back with a little bit of more news just popped up, and then we'll talk Legend of Vox Machina. Be right back.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey, everybody back. Welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We got a huge lineup today. We have Comic Collectibles with Rex and John coming up right after this. We have a weird thing on our screen.
After watching episode 1 of Ryan Johnson's Poker Face, a debate was sparked about what would actually happen if you emailed this email. So I'm emailing for science. Is this an acceptable for the terms of our deal? Okay.
Go for it. All right. So we got Comic Collectibles, we got Wednesday Warriors, we got Pop Go the Writers, and we have Kicking It with Ornery. So it's a big lineup tonight. So thank you, Ed, by the way. That was very nice of you.
Too late, JD. I already sent it.
Yeah. Now, quick news, which isn't going to surprise anybody. We know that the plan going forward with DC is 2 TV series and 2 movies a year. Well, it turns out those 2 TV series will not include any more of Pennyworth, or as they rebranded it for the 3rd season, Pennyworth, The Origin of Batman's Butler. Yes, they really did that. The 3rd season debuted in October, ran through November. I covered the first 2 seasons. I haven't had a chance to watch the 3rd one yet, which I'm gonna do because I do love the show. I thought Jack Bannon was amazing as Alfred, especially since he was channeling young Michael Caine. Seriously, if you guys haven't watched this show, it is literally like watching young Michael Caine. Voice, action, everything. But the 3rd season was supposed to take place after a 5-year time jump where the Civil War is over. By the way, they do have a Civil War in England in the show. It's one of the most bizarre things. The show itself is just super bizarre, and I'm going to miss it. It's like Doom Patrol level bizarre. So, but yeah, they're pulling the plug on that, which again goes. I think everybody was expecting it after the cancellation of Doom Patrol and after the cancellation of Titans. So I think they're going to wrap everything up. They said yesterday that Superman and Lois will probably have 1 or 2 more seasons, and that'll be done. By the time we get that first Superman movie and everything, James Gunn stuff is regularly coming out, I think everything else that's been out there will be gone. Maybe Harley Quinn survives, Teen Titans Go, and Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips stuff, and that'll be about it.
I think it'll probably be anything that DC doesn't have to pay for. There are other production studios making Teen Titans Go and Harley Quinn. I think I think it's probably going to come down to who's making it and how much does it cost. Dan.
Yes.
Unlike Ryan Johnson, I can solve a mystery in a hurry. Turns out if you email Oprah@Oprah.com, there's no such email.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But, I don't think it matters because it's a fantasy world where 555 numbers exist.
It's true. It's true.
So,
but as we say in our commercial screening experience, is the 555 take anybody else out of it? Or just us? Anyway.
Yeah. By the way, you're welcome to send that same email to CIA@cia.gov.
You want me to?
No.
I don't care.
All right, let's get into the Legend of Vox Machina. Don't know why that just seemed like a German at that point. The 3rd episode ends with Vex looking dead. Vex being dead. And we pick it up and they're looking for these specific items. The MacGuffins, the Power Ranger stones, whatever you want to call them, that they're supposed to be getting. And each of these 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6, have them going after one of these things. It feels like introducing a character named An Action.
An actor in a show.
An actor in a show.
Yeah. So yeah, your 4, 5, and 6 are the quest to seek the Holy Grail.
Yes.
We
already have one.
Well, we don't Kinda. They already have one. At the end of episode 3, Percy tries to grab the Grail, essentially, and the result is that Vex is killed.
Yes.
Except that that's not how it shakes down. Things are different than they appear, and they wind up with their goal, which, of course, they do because it's a show. And the following 2 episodes after episode 4 are them also seeking these other things.
Right.
Episode 5, I thought, was a nice little diversion. Episode 5 being a Keyleth story that, really kind of explains a little bit about how Keyleth works as a magic user.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Dan, and I say this without intentionally being spoilery. It feels like before this series is over, one of these voice actors is going to have to roll a new character.
Let me think.
Only because it feels like they've killed Vex, and even though that didn't work out, then at the end of this episode, at the end of episode 6, there's a situation with Pike.
I know that in the episode I watched of the Search for Grog, the live action thing, one of the actors was playing a new character. Well, 2 were technically, but Travis Willingham was playing a new character because Grog disappears and he's wanted to play. So instead of taking him out of the entire game, they gave him a new character. But one character does die through this campaign. Now, I don't know where in the campaign it takes place and where it will compare to the show. I don't know how long they're planning the show. So is it going to be like 2-3 seasons and then they'll focus on the Mighty Nine? Will they continue? Because there's a lot that they did. It was a couple years worth of gaming on a weekly basis. So, but yes, I do know that one character does die because they had a new character in the
Well, even then, what I'm saying is it feels like they've been setting us up this season for, if not a TPK, for at least a character that you've grown accustomed to die.
Mhm.
And I don't have a problem with that because characters die in D&D all the time.
Right.
So that's fine, but it really feels like they're kind of sort of soft playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to do it, I wish they'd just do it. In the sense that, okay, you cast a reincarnation spell. Okay. That's also a thing that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But to keep leaving us on cliffhangers is so-and-so dead is redundant. They've done it twice now in 3 episodes.
What was the other time?
Well, they did it with Vex, and then they're doing it with Pike. At the end of episode 6, Grog stabs Pike with the blood sword.
Right, but she's not necessarily dead. She's just wounded.
We don't know. That's what I'm saying. We didn't actually know that Vex was dead at the end of episode 3 either.
Right.
You made the assumption because of what was said, but now they've split the party and you really don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So is she or isn't she? Is this it's this trope they keep kind of going back to. And again, there's nothing wrong with the trope. There's nothing wrong with that happening in the game. It's something that happens. But from a storytelling standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to rip someone out of this party, do it now. Do it episode 7.
Right. Now, I know, like I said, Ashley Johnson, who plays Pike, would skip episodes
Right.
because of her commitment to blind spotting or blind spot or blind sight or whatever it is. So it is possible that she'll be on a spiritual journey and get resurrected and stuff because it was necessity for the live show.
Well, and she's on Last of Us.
She's on Last of Us now?
Yes.
Yeah, but voice acting, you don't have the same thing. You go in, you record everything.
Right. What I'm saying is she may have had to miss an episode or so because she had to go shoot Last of Us. Is what I'm getting at. There's plenty of reasons. She does enough stuff that is a fair thing. But again, my point is it feels like they're setting us up to kill a character.
Yeah.
It needs to happen in episode 7 so that you have enough time to either introduce that voice actor as a new character going forward or to have the team grieve, regroup, refocus, and come out ahead before the series is over. And it's only, what, is it 9 or 12?
I think it's 12. Let me check.
Right. So that gives them 5 episodes to get themselves back together.
Yeah, it's 12.
Right. So that gives them really, if this character dies in episode 7, gives them 4 episodes to get back on track and defeat the dragons.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a death. I really don't. I would be surprised if we get a death. Unless this is the end of the series, they're only doing 2 seasons, then I don't think we're getting a death.
I don't know. I feel like they're setting us up for it. And again, that the idea of them setting us up for it is this. It happens all the time in D&D. Characters die, you roll a new character.
Right.
There's no reason to change the gameplay just because this is a TV show.
Right.
So it's entirely possible that we're going to get one because it's just what happens.
Yes, but you're basing it on a long-running campaign where, to the best of my knowledge, the only player that dies at near the very end.
Well, and again, you're basing it on that this is, you're basing it on what you saw in the actual Critical Role YouTube show.
Right.
And I'm saying they're making an animated show.
Mm-hmm.
They can edit.
They can, but when you have that big of a fan base and it's a show based off of Kickstarter,
this season,
no, but
that's what I'm saying. We're to the point now where we're in this weird. I don't even know the answer to the question. I don't even know the word I'm looking for. We're in this weird territory where they don't have to do what the people who back the show on Kickstarter want them to do.
Yeah, but they also don't have to do what you're thinking they have to do.
Correct. They can do whatever's best for the story at this point.
Yeah.
And I think what they've decided is what's best for the story is to move beyond some of these characters.
But they haven't yet. They've not done that. They've been following the thing so far.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, in order to do that, you have to do it in the next episode of the show.
Okay.
If they get to episode 8 without killing anybody, they're not going to.
No, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm saying I don't think it's going to happen.
Right. And that's fair. I mean, that's a fair opinion. I think it is. I think that would be good. So
all right. So we get Vex and Vax. I always thought was kind of weird names, but Vax gets the Raven armor. Caliph suddenly becomes much more powerful, and then Scanlan loses his, which is kind of an interesting.
I thought Keyleth as Dormammu was funny. Yeah, I also have a little bit of a problem with the Sphinx in episode 6.
Cammy? What's wrong with Cammy?
The animation. It doesn't appear to match the rest of the show.
More of a manga style?
Yeah, it's got this. The rest of the show has this very anime feel to it. This has almost a CGI feel to it. Right? It's got real round, 3-dimensional light sources and, these kind of things that make it look like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks odd compared to literally everything else. I thought the story was good. I thought it was a little cheesy that it's, "You wounded my heart. Oh, Davy." Like, it was just, come on, really? Scanlan's going to sing a love song and you're going to see Scanlan holographics of your girlfriend and you'll be like, "You made me feel feelings. I'm going to give you a sword." Really? Come on.
Mm-hmm. But again, you're talking about a D&D campaign that's being turned to story. They're not trying to. They're adapting it. They're not trying to write a new story.
My problem is, my problem is that's the play you made. That's the choice you made as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that bothers me. That, because in my own campaign, I would be giving that guy so much grief for making that choice, and then giving my game master so much grief for saying, "You've done what no one has ever done before. You made me feel my feelings." Oh, come on. It just seems like lazy writing.
Yeah.
Like,
my favorite line in the whole episode is when Grog wants to take the 100 Gorgons,
right,
that want to fight, and the Sphinx is like, "Oh, they were getting antsy too."
Right, they wanted them. They were itching for a fight. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, I love that. But it's like the payoff was just like something that as a player, I would be definitely outside of game giving both the player who's playing Scanlan and the game master all kinds of grief for that. Just endless grief.
But see, part of the fun of the show in the live action is to do the unexpected, to do the funny. And Sam Riegel always goes funny over serious. He'll always take the funny route or the silly route. There's a thing where they have this attack called the Fluffernutter.
Right.
And it's basically a giant barrel of explosives that he uses his wizard mage hand to throw, and then they blow it up over the top of whatever they're trying to fight. But they call it Fluffernutter. And once they came up with a name for it, he constantly wanted to do it because he got to say Fluffernutter. So you can't use standard writing rules with this show.
No, and again, I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons writing rules.
Yes.
And I'm talking about how Kyle, the player, would react to these people. And I think it was great for the show. I thought it was a fine way to sell it, that doing a wound to someone is not specifically predicated on actually hurting them physically.
Mm-hmm.
You can hurt them mentally or spiritually or emotionally. Like, I thought that's all well and good. It was good for the show. But Kyle would be like, "Bro, really? You're going to go Michael Bolton right now?"
Now I'm going to have to disagree with you, because the simple fact is that as I'm watching, like I said, I didn't watch this campaign. I watched the second campaign. But as I'm watching this and I'm hearing the Sphinx talk about, "You have to make me feel pain," and my first thought is, they won't be able to do it physically. They're going to have to find a different way to hurt him. And to me, that's what Sam did. He found a different way to hurt the Sphinx through memory and pain. I thought it was actually a brilliant idea. And I wouldn't have given him credit. I would have said, "Hey, good job." And also from the DM point of view, that's pretty clever to give them that, you got to come up with a unique way to defeat this undefeatable creature.
JD, you've played Dungeons and Dragons with me. You can say I would, brilliant as it was, I'm still gonna give you crap. Brilliant as it was, and it's just because I'm that guy. Like in my group, it's.
Well, you don't sound like you'd be any fun to play with.
There's a reason that they made me game master. Yes, and I would be annoyed at your crap. Correct. So again, I think the story that I'm most interested in, because we're running out of time, the story that I'm most interested in going forward is the Grog and the sword story.
See, I still want to know Grog and the belt, because I think there's got to be something.
I forgot about the belt. Yes. Grog and Grog-related accoutrement story.
Yeah, there's got to be something more to the belt than it gives him a beard. And you know what? If that's all it does, terrific. That's fine. Because there are some magic items in D&D that do stupid little things. There are appearance magic items and stuff. This just makes me miss playing D&D.
It really does.
I need to get a one-shot together or something.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like the thing that this show does, and as much as I, again, I do give players crap for stuff. Like I just always have. It's how I always have been. And as much as I do nitpick the crap out of this show, it makes me miss my weekly game. And it's when we started, myself and a couple of the players, we would go every week to Steak and Shake for dinner and then go to our friend's house where we had the game. And it makes me miss the camaraderie of having a play group.
Yep.
If nothing else comes from this show, that is the thing, is I want people to understand how much fun it can be to sit with the same group of people week after week and slog your way through a story.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to get, the last few groups I've been in, I've had to be the GM, and I don't mind that, but I would like to be able to play, as a character too. And, not have to, cause I stress, I'm the over planner stressor type, Yeah.
And I love being the dungeon master.
I don't mind doing it. I enjoy certain parts of it, especially the voices and stuff, and playing the characters. But it says, me too. As much as I love the show, it really does leave me yearning for the past when it was D&D every weekend. Yeah, there was a couple years there that I was in like 3 or 4 groups. That was a lot of my time. Yeah,
my group still plays every weekend, but I'm here, so I don't get to play as often as I like. So,
all right, we are going to wrap it up. Tomorrow we're going to talk about The Bad Batch, latest episode, and depending on how the evening goes, we might finally have a discussion about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, because it's now available on Disney Plus. I never got to the theater to see it because of some of the health issues I've been dealing with, so I'm going to watch it most likely tonight, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. I think we're past the spoiler warnings on those. I think everybody's probably seen it. So, all right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Remember, we're going to be doing a big giveaway. So you want to be a subscriber to us on YouTube. Also, we're still looking for subscribers on Instagram. So please pop over to our Instagram and click on that. Stick around for Comic Collectibles with Rex and John. And they have some amazing Ken Hazer art available. So stick around for that. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.